These are the pedals that I actually considered returning. It took me forever to get them set up, but after some time I realized they might actually be one of the best pedals that I ever tested. A month ago, I received a new set of pedals, and these are the Simnet Pro pedals. When they first arrived, it was actually a bit of a mess. Setting them up took forever, but after some time, I was actually quite surprised with their performance. So in this video, I will walk you through everything that you need to know and what can you actually realistically expect out of this product. These pedals can appeal to a wide range of users. They're quite complex in their design and functionality, yet their pricing makes them an interesting option for a lot of users. A set of 2 pedals can range from $200 all the way up to $600 for the full bundle, which includes free pedals, haptics, and the pedal plate. The key advantage is compatibility. Not only they work on PC, they are also compatible with Fanatec wheelbases, and I guess that really makes them an excellent choice for console players. Sim racing has been quite a journey for me, and over some time I've tested countless pedal sets, yet these pedals stand out in a way that makes them difficult to compare with anything else on the market right now. I could line them up with, let's say, the Moza CRP1 or maybe even 2 pedals, the full Fanatec range, and many of the most popular options available today, but even then these pedals felt genuinely unique. Part of what makes them interesting is the price, but also the fact that they come from, I would say, a relatively unknown company in the sim racing space. It's actually quite unusual to come across a set of pedals that can stand alongside those from much larger, more established manufacturers and still make a strong case for themselves. And to be fair with you, I received these pedals directly from Simnet, and yes, they were sent to me for free. But that doesn't change the fact that I'll share my honest opinion about this product. And of course, I got 3 pedals alongside their haptic modules. These are small vibration kits designed to give that extra feedback on the clutch, brake, and the accelerator, adding just another layer of feel to your driving. I was genuinely surprised by the package. The box itself was actually quite huge, and inside were the clutch, brake, and the accelerator pedal, plus the haptic system. What impressed me most wasn't just the pedals themselves, but the sheer number of adjustment options included. Springs, elastomers, and I would say countless combination of parts. And I don't think I've ever received so many tuning possibilities in any of the sim racing products ever before. And even after a couple of days or maybe even a month on my rig, I still discovered that they can still be customized and modified even more. Now, to be fair, the packaging itself didn't really look that professional, but honestly, I don't really care about the box. If the company wants to save on packaging costs and put the value into the product itself, I'm all in for it. And at the end of the day, what really matters is the pedals and their feel and performance. And I'm not exactly sure where to begin with the build quality and the design of these pedals. The design itself was quite industrial and rough. I can't really say that I love it, but I also can't say that I hate it. It reminds me of older pedal sets. They just focused more on the functionality rather than the aesthetics. Some people might like this, some not, and in the end, looks are a matter of personal preference. So instead of focusing on that, let's just talk about the build quality and adjustability. And this is where the things really get impressive. The build quality is, I would say, simply absurd. Everything is made from metal. Each pedal comes with a small dampening kit pre-installed. And personally, I didn't even feel that massive difference from the dampers, but the pedals were actually quite nice to use and they actually felt quite solid. When it comes to adjustments, these pedals are just on another level. You can tweak almost everything. Pedal travel, stiffness, angles, you name it. If you use the optional pedal plate, which costs just about $100 or euros, you can adjust the pedal plate angles, pedal spacing, and much more. Each pedal offers an incredible number of options, and you can, I guess, move the faceplates up and down, adjust the stiffness, travel, slide them left to right on the pedal up and down, and basically that's about it. Pretty much you can tune everything, and if you like that, these pedals are definitely for you. But with all of that flexibility comes a downside, and for me that was the biggest issue. And it took me just forever to get everything set up, and to the point where I almost thought about sending them back. I spent about 8 hours, I gotta say 8 hours, an entire day unboxing, assembling, calibrating, and just experimenting until I found something that I actually liked. The software, however, is quite excellent. Calibration is straightforward and the interface is very simple but powerful. You can adjust the dead zone, fine-tune the travel, and customize pretty much anything in the software. Honestly, I've seen much larger companies with far worse software. And to use the haptics, you need a small power adapter, which is just for the haptics. So if you don't have the haptics, you don't really need it. Overall, the adjustability is mind-blowing, but the time investment is huge. So if you're thinking about buying these pedals, ask yourself how much effort you're actually willing to put into the setup. They are not plug and play, and they're actually quite the opposite. But if you're patient, the results are definitely worth it. After my initial frustration and nearly given up, I stuck with it. And a couple of days later, once I had everything tuned to my liking, I kind of realized that these pedals are actually quite good. And in the end, I was genuinely happy with the performance. And that's what I really want to focus on next. As usual, I tested the pedals over 10 laps at Deep Forest in Gran Turismo. I did other sims, but since the pedals are compatible for consoles and my channel is mostly for Gran Turismo, I just went with it. What surprised me the most was actually how quick I adapted to the pedals. These might be the pedals that I never thought I would need. Yes, the setup process took forever and it was actually quite frustrating at times, but once everything was dialed in, I actually felt quite confident with them. With most of the new equipment, it usually takes me forever to build consistency and get up to speed. In this case, though, I clicked with the pedals right away. And during my laps, I was actually able to perform on the same level as I was performing before. And that was actually a huge plus. In fact, I would say that the performance maybe even improved slightly. It's kind of hard to measure everything after just about a couple of days or even weeks or even a month. But what's clear is that the performance didn't drop, which is actually quite interesting for new equipment that I test. The pedals actually felt quite natural, precise, and enjoyable to use. And once everything was set up, the driving experience was genuinely rewarding. Because of that, I have no hesitation recommending them. I mean, just look at the consistency. And by the way, this lap time was in the top 30 in the world. And with that said, performance is only the part of the story. So now we need to have a closer look at some of the small issues and quirks that come with these pedals. And to be fair, the product isn't perfect. It still needs to be slightly refined, but considering the price, the build quality, and I would say the sheer number of adjustment options, it's definitely hard to say that this is kind of a major issue. The biggest drawback for me was the pedal plate, that sometimes it was kind of moving a little bit and I could actually feel the movement slightly, but hey, it's still a pedal plate, not the pedals. You can adjust them in a different way, and I guess the adjustment and tightening isn't the easiest task either, since the area underneath is quite tricky to access and mounting them on your rig can be a little bit trickier than you might think of. But in general, I think this is the only downside. That said, once the pedals are installed, you're not likely going to touch them for a very long time. So while it's kind of inconvenient during the setup, it's not something that really affects day-to-day performance. And overall, the main quirks are the time it actually takes to put everything together, the pedal plate limitations, and the slightly awkward mounting options. But beyond that, I really didn't see any of the issues worth mentioning. So the real question is, would I recommend these pedals? And I gotta say yes, absolutely. Not only because they're compatible with Fanatec wheelbases, which means that you can use them on consoles, but they're also very competitively priced compared to the other options on the market. For example, the basic 2-pedal set is just about 200 euros or US dollars. It kind of depends on where you live. Add the plate and the price goes up to 300. Still, it's quite cheaper than all of the other alternatives that you will eventually see from much larger manufacturers. Even the full free pedal set with haptics come in at kind of a lower price that you would expect. That said, you should keep in mind potential shipping and importation costs. Depending on your country, taxes, custom fees, and in general, they can push your final price a little bit higher. So it's worth doing a bit of research before placing an order. Even with that in mind, the value here is incredible. The amount of adjustment options is unlike anything that I've seen from other manufacturers. And what really surprised me was that after using them for some time, I didn't really feel the need to switch to my older pedals, and that's quite rare when I'm testing new equipment. Normally, I test and review products, give them a fair run, and I guess move on from there. But in this case, I actually plan to keep on using these pedals. They may not be my permanent solution forever, and after all, I do test a lot of hardware, but they've definitely earned a place in my setup, and that says a lot. So if you're interested, you can check out the link down below, and don't forget that you can actually use my code to get an additional 5% discount. And as always, if you have any questions about these pedals, feel free to drop them down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer. And if you enjoyed this video, consider hitting that like button or maybe even subscribing to the channel. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.